What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Frontline. I'm Chris, he's Mike.
Hey, guys.
And you are here with us once again as we continue our recap and coverage of E3. In this video, we are going to be talking about the Sony conference. PlayStation, as you guys know, Michael and I love to stream on Frontline Gaming Zone from our PlayStation 4. Our number one system right now is the PlayStation, so we were looking forward to and anticipating and excited for the Sony conference. This was our number one looking forward to conference. Ubisoft earlier on in the day surprised us, gave us a huge surprise with lots of really awesome games. And you can check that video out. It was posted right before this one. Bethesda kind of let us down a little bit. We stayed up late for that one. Really didn't get too much out of that. Microsoft really came and gave us their A game. 42 games, 22 being exclusive. And then before that we had EA, which also surprised us. So now here we are with the Sony PlayStation. Now knowing everything that happened, and you can check all of the things, all of the conferences I just mentioned. You can check all of those out. You can go on comicfrontline.com, check out the videos, and underneath them there's all the trailers for the games we talked about as well. So here we are now with Sony, our most anticipated look forward to conference, and with the big guns that Xbox brought to the table with their conference. Was Sony going to answer that with... Now, last year, Sony gave a lot of exclusives. It was tons of exclusives. A heads-up look at the VR, because the VR was not out yet, so they really promoted the VR. The PlayStation Pro was released last year, so they came at it hard. They gave us the Pro, the VR, and tons of games that were going to be with the PlayStation in VR, outside of VR. So they gave us a lot. And lots of teasers. The Last of Us, Final Fantasy VII, Last of Us 2. We got lots of promises. So here we are in 2017. And I don't want to give an overview before the end. You know, we like to save that for the end. But I kind of was let down by this year's Sony. Because a lot of the stuff that we're about to cover was already... We either already knew about it from previous E3s, from previous, teaser trailers, or just knowledge that, the dropping news from PlayStation. They're really, looking at this list, there really weren't too many surprise, like, when we were watching Xbox, world premiere, exclusive world premiere, there was not any of that here, except when they talked about the VR. The VR and one or two games were premiered here, but other than that, all games that we already knew about. And you know what really scared me, Michael?
What?
The crowd. Now, you remember all the other conferences that we watched, the crowd was off the hook. For PlayStation this year, it didn't seem like they were really in it. There was the clapping, but there was really no huge, except for one game, which we'll get into. The crowd just did not really react as with all the other conferences.
Yeah, not as much.
And that was scary. So let's get into the conference before we give too much of an overview. Conference opened up with Uncharted Lost Legacy. Mm-hmm. We knew about this game. We got a little bit more of the trailers and whatnot. So we got a little bit more of a background on the game. Looks interesting. I've played all the Uncharted games. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I feel about Lost Legacy. How did you feel about it?
Uncharted, just to see a new perspective of a new person's point of view instead of just Nathan Drake. We see someone else that's actually going to be taking the place of his role as someone different. It looks really intense, and lots of action-packed stuff's going to happen. Although I don't trust the girl that she's with. I have a funny feeling that she's going to betray her in the end.
The way the trailers were looking, I think that's the way it's going to be.
Maybe, but I'm just saying the way it looks. But it looks like it's going to be really something interesting to look into.
Possibly, yeah. For Uncharted fans, it's huge. Now, this is a game that's already out, Horizon Zero Dawn. Well, we got that huge thing. I don't want to spoil the game for anybody who didn't play it yet, but after the credits, there was a teaser for more, for DLC. And at E3, we got Horizon Zero Dawn, The Frozen Wild.
Yes.
And that's going to be the new DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn. And that looks very interesting. And it obviously is the answer to the questions we got when we saw that after credits scene. Exactly. So we're getting an add-on to Horizon Zero Dawn, which is cool. So a pre-existing game, really cool DLC. It was a great game. Everybody It got reviews, high reviews. I thought the game looked really great as well. So after that, we got Days Gone By. Now...
Or Days Gone.
Days Gone. You're right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Days Gone. And in this one, instead of getting just a trailer, we actually got gameplay finally. We didn't get gameplay last time.
And the gameplay, I have to admit, was really awesome. Where there was like so many zombies, and I was like looking at them, like saying like, "Oh, don't go that way, don't go this way." Like I was actually feeling like I was actually playing the game. And the whole herds of zombies, like after that huge explosion that he did on that gate, and when they like all came in and everything, it was just...
And we don't know if they're zombies yet. We don't know what they are, but we know that
But it was a massacre of them.
Yeah, and I liked it because the last game, it was just him running away from a herd of zombies. This time it was actually interacting in the world where you're not being chased by the zombies or whatever they are. You're actually doing an objective, so to speak. And you also saw him fight some humans as well. Looked very interesting. I was already down for Days Gone. That's one of the games that is coming out, I believe, this year, at the end of this year. I'm definitely going to be checking out Days Gone. It looks really, really good. But again, a game we already knew about. Now, we're getting into something new. For those of you who are huge fans of Monster Hunter, it was announced here,
this is all you.
Monster Hunter World. It's going to be an open world Monster Hunter game. We've been begging and hoping and praying for them to hit one of the big two consoles, Xbox or Sony, and it's coming to the Sony PlayStation. Monster World looked amazing. They showed us trailers of monsters and stuff, and it looks great. Now, I got into Monster Hunter on the 3DS, and my one gripe was that there was a handheld. And then I believe the Wii U got one, or the Wii...
Yeah, the Wii U.
Yeah, the Wii U. But I wanted something with where we can really push the graphics, really push, the world and the space of the game. And here, Sony gave it to us with Monster Hunter World 2018. I was really shocked, and I loved it. That was awesome. So we got our first big surprise premiere. After that, Mike, this is all you. Shadow of Colossus.
Of the Colossus.
Of the Colossus.
When I looked and when I saw those big statues, I'm like saying, no way. This cannot be what I think it is. And sure enough, it's coming back where you get to be like this person that climbs up rocks like creatures and these big, huge, gigantic like creatures. And your objective is to go on the very top of their heads. And with that, you have to...
I think everyone knows Shadow of Colossus.
I'm explaining to those who don't.
Okay.
You just put it through their heads, and then you become the whole master of the takedown of Colossus.
But what this is, it looks like it's a remastered game.
It looks like remasters. I think that's why they put because it was just called Shadow of Colossus.
Unless it's a new game complete,
That's
and
called
it's
Shadow
the same
of
thing.
the Colossus. I think it's going to be a new game.
You think they're going to make newer things with
I
it?
think it's going to be newer because some of the creatures I don't ever remember encountering.
So maybe it's an add-on remaster.
It could be an add-on remaster, probably.
But that was all you. You played the entire game.
I sure did, and let me tell you, I cannot wait to get my hands on it, as well as doing the gameplay of that.
That was 2018 as well. Now, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. For this year. Coming out in October?
October, they said.
It is October, yeah.
No, September.
Oh, September.
September it was.
Whoa! We are getting this
we
game.
are getting that.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what I liked about it? They actually had a storyline.
A legit
storyline where the characters are actually moving. And don't get me wrong.
Ultron's the bad guy.
Ultron's the bad guy. I mean, don't get me wrong. When they did the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 of the Fate of Two Worlds, that was good. But this next one right here is really interactive and
crazy.
moving.
It looked insane.
It was really insane. I cannot wait to see how it's going to unfold.
Yes.
It's just, and then you have like...
we definitely have to make sure we I think that's pre-orderable already.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be Thanos...
versus Ultron.
That's going to be the main headers of this game. Of the clash.
It's gonna
awesome.
That was epic. And then we got more Call of Duty World War II.
Yeah.
Again, see, we knew about Call of Duty, and we also knew about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. It was nice to see that they're added that there's a story to it. That was a nice little reveal. But when it comes to Call of Duty, I'm kind of a little let down that PlayStation took up so much time showing a really super extended trailer and some gameplay montages.
Yeah.
Call of Duty is, once again, another game that I'll probably not get on release because I got Call of Duty, the new one. Call of Duty Infinite, was it? Or whatever it was. And I honestly didn't play it till about a month or two after because there was so many games that came out at the same time. And again, it's coming out in October. Lots of games are scheduled for October. So this is yet again another game that I'm probably going to put on my watch list and wait for the price to go down.
Indeed.
Because I'm just not... I mean, as much as I enjoyed the story for Call of Duty, at the same time, the story does not harken a $60 price tag, in my opinion. At this point in time, I feel like Call of Duty's kind of beating over a dead horse. I'd rather see one Call of Duty and just keep upgrading it, like Tom Clancy's doing with The Division, like Tom Clancy's doing with Rainbow Six. One Call of Duty, and we all know what people buy Call of Duty truly for. Very few people buy it for the story. They buy it for the zombies, and they buy it for the multiplayer. So at this point, they should just make Call of Duty multiplayer and just keep upgrading that until the end. I don't know. I was just kind of let down that of all places to showcase Call of Duty, especially when we knew about Call of Duty, saw trailers on Call of Duty, knew what was coming with Call of Duty. Last year when they did it on the PlayStation conference, okay, they did do it last year as well. You can argue they did it last year, but last year it was one of the many. And this year, already, Call of Duty was sort of the halfway point. Mm-hmm. This was where we were getting, to the tip of the mountain, and now we're on our way down again. So after Call of Duty, now we're getting into some exclusive stuff. The PlayStation VR. Everybody wanted some VR games. Because we got that VR system, it was $400 at release, now it's like $500, or maybe it was $500 at release. We got it for $400, but beside the point, it was an expensive add-on a software. It was it was an expensive addition, and everybody got it. A lot of people got it. Not very few people I know that were interested in it didn't get it. People who weren't interested in it wouldn't get it, but I was hoping that PlayStation wouldn't do to the VR what Xbox did with the Kinect, and they didn't. And we got a section. I love how they kind of showed like the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, and the VR. So they kind of rotated. And they rotated to the VR. Mm-hmm. And we got a list of games. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 new VR games promoted from 2017 all the way into 2018. And the first one being Skyrim. Man, first we got Skyrim during the... I forgot which conference was it where they said it was going to be on the Switch.
The Microsoft.
It was the Xbox one? No. Where it was going to be on Switch? I think that was the... it wasn't Ubisoft. Maybe it was EA? Nope.
I don't know. It was somewhere. It was somewhere, yeah.
Oh, Bethesda. It was Bethesda. Duh. It came out of Bethesda. We're tired. It's like 2 in the morning already when we're recording this. So Bethesda showed us it on the Switch. So now it's going to be on the Switch. We got the Collector's Edition that's on the PS4 right now. And now they're making a Skyrim Elder Scrolls V VR. The game in complete VR. Mm-hmm. I just said, you know what? Forget the Switch. I'll get the Collector's Edition for the PS4 and the VR for the VR. Man, that was the cherry on the cake for me. That was the best part of the VR. I want Skyrim VR, and I want it definitely now. Looked awesome. Then there was Star Child VR. Moving on. Then there was The Impatient, which kind of looks like it's going to be another horror game.
Yeah, the one where you're like in this facility place.
That looks like it's a prison. And
then
it's
a
old
prison, guy comes up to you and says this thing. I kind of got a little bit too creeped out by it.
It didn't do anything for me either. And then we got Monster of the Deep VR. That was really, like, seriously. It's basically Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, yeah.
Fishing. We got a VR fishing game.
With Final Fantasy characters?
From the Final Fantasy universe. So basically, if you want to be in your Final Fantasy world, they're saying, no. We're not.
And I told you it was Final Fantasy characters. You're like saying, no way. That's
no. I was saying, no way. It's Final Fantasy, which it wasn't. So basically, if you like the characters from Final Fantasy 15, you can continue your adventures with them, fishing as them in VR. That's the game. Fishing. Monsters of the Deep.
Next.
It was at this point where I said I don't think there's going to be anything else for VR that we're interested in. But then we got Bravo Team. That looked good.
That did look good.
That looks like a good mix of Rainbow Six meets Call of Duty meets
Medal of Honor.
No.
No?
Call of Duty meets Rainbow Six. I would say that.
I thought Medal of Honor meets Rainbow Six.
Maybe. Medal of Honor is more war. It didn't look like war. You're part of a police team, and you can team up with your friends, it looks like. And it finally looks like, we got that gun with Farpoint, and we were like, we better have more games for that gun. And this game answered it because it looks like it's yet again another first-person shooter. So finally, another game that this the PlayStation gun, the VR gun, will work for. Good. So this game looked good. So we had two really disappointing games, and then we had that. And then we got Moss VR, which is something I think Cindy would like. It's a little mouse, and you're like this guardian of the mouse. At first, I thought it was going to be Mouse Guard, which is a comic book.
I thought so too with the mouse, yeah.
Which is a comic book. I thought that for somehow, some way, Mouse Guard made it to a video game. It wasn't. But again, it looks cute. I think it's something that Cindy would like to play.
I think so too.
It's definitely something for younger audiences to play. It looks really nice. I mean, I say younger, but young or old can play.
Well,
it's an everyone game. It's an e-game.
But it's one little mouse that has to go through big things and big obstacles.
Yeah. Well, then again, I don't think little kids would like that. But I think it's an e-game. A lot of people would enjoy it.
I'm just saying for a little mouse, the size, But size doesn't always matter because size could always make change and differences, believe me.
But that was it then. That was the end of VR, and we went back to the PlayStation 4, and we went into God of War.
Oh, man.
And honestly, that was the best. That was where the crowd went absolutely berserk.
And this is where he actually has a son in this game.
Well, we knew that from the last trailer.
Yeah, but this is where the son goes with him on this journey to learn more about his ways and how he may one day probably set on the journey as his father did.
Yeah, so, I liked how this trailer, it was a trailer, and it showed a little bit of gameplay in the trailer, but in this one it kind of showed more of the combat. It showed different parts. It showed him on the boat with that gigantic serpent thing.
Oh, yeah.
So it kind of gave us more of what to expect in the game, showing us that the game is further along. However, once again, 2018. No specifics, just 2018.
Yeah, but don't you think, even you say yourself, with the games that are coming out this year...
Oh, no, yeah, but I'm wondering if it's 2018 late. Remember, you got to have some holiday stuff.
Usually when I hear 2018, usually I think like midpoint.
We'll see. E3,
it could be.
But we knew about God of War. Then we go into Detroit become a human, or becoming human, or whatever. We saw a little bit of it last year where it was a police officer who was an android. It looked, correct me if I'm wrong, but the game looked very different last year's E3 compared to this year's E3. But it says make choices, so maybe, just maybe, you could be on the side of good, or that this year's trailer was if you choose to riot against the humans.
But I think that this game is meant for you just to riot.
I think this game,
you riot.
You saw you saw all the choices. I wonder if you could team up, to protect the humans, or to rebel against them. And I guess last year's was showing if you decide to work with them, and this year's was if you decide to revolt against them. Because it was all, if you notice, it was all aggressive and negative
that's what
moves.
I was trying to tell you.
Last year was all good moves.
And now this year with all, maybe it might be different.
And it's coming out this year.
Yeah.
So it looks interesting. That's a game I might look into at release. And if there are too many games that week, that might be one of the games where I'll be like, okay, maybe I'll wait a couple of weeks or a month or so until it goes down in price. But it looked interesting. But we knew about Detroit. Destiny 2. We finally got an official a full extended trailer on who the bad guy's going to be, a little bit of an eye view of what the weapons are going to be in the game, and a little bit on the character designs. Nothing really super, super deep, which I like because Destiny's coming in September or October as well. I know I have it pre-ordered.
I think it's October.
I know I have it pre-ordered because I want to get into the beta, because I definitely want to get into the beta, but it was basically a trailer. No in-game, no gameplay, just the trailer. And it was good, but we knew about Destiny 2 as well. I don't know if you have any opinion on Destiny.
That was all you, but it looked pretty good for that matter.
And then that's when the guy came out and basically said, I forgot what his name was, I apologize, he's the head of the Talk of PlayStation. I remember him last year. But that's when he said, thank you all for coming. And left us with one more game. One game that was going to be their spotlight, which ended up being their spotlight. It's a game we all saw last year. We got just a trailer last year. This year we got some gameplay on Spider-Man. We got to see the in-game mechanics, which reminded me of the open world that the movies gave, and the whichever one, the one where you could turn into the black suit or the regular suit.
Shattered Dimensions?
No, the black suit.
Black suit.
I can't remember.
Ultimate
I keep forgetting.
Spider-Man?
No, I keep forgetting. But anyway, it gave us the open world feeling of the movies, and it gave us a little bit of the combat like the PlayStation 1 days where you could web the bad guys into the ground, web them up and
Web
hang
of Shadows?
them. Web of Shadows, yes. And you could web them to the beams and the spider sense, and you got the quick buttons, and it looked set.
Dude,
it was
the
sick.
whole move set, as well as the new developments that they put,
And the voice.
And the voice was beyond perfect. You couldn't get perfect in that. But the whole move sets with the webbing and the whole combat mode, swinging and zoom zigzags everywhere, it was beyond epic and amazing. It's going to be one of those games that it's going to be like one of those greatest superhero games, at least from what I saw.
Oh, yeah. And then they came back for a moment. They thanked everybody for coming, and then it went back into the trailer for just another minute. And we get to see Spider-Man. You know, we see all the crowd watching the helicopter, and everybody like, let's get out of here, let's get out of here. And one kid grabs another kid, and he says, dude, let's go. It's fine. Whatever happens, happens. Come on, Miles. And he moves the camera away from his face, and Miles Morales is in the game.
Oh, man.
That must have freaked out a few people. But again, Spider-Man was their spotlight, a game we knew. So other than the VR games, other than the Shadow of Colossus remaster or a remake or whatever, and other than Monster Hunter World, that was it. Everything else we already knew about. Everything else we already saw teasers of in previous EAs. Now, Microsoft Xbox gave us 22 system exclusive games. 42 games in total. PlayStation gave us one new one. A lot of the games that I mentioned are going to be exclusive, but one new one.
Right.
Which is going to be the two. Shadow of Colossus and Spider-Man, which I guess is going to be for PlayStation. Now, of course, the VRs will go without say. There'll be PlayStation VR, so it's their PlayStation exclusives as well. But I just felt like we got a lot more from Xbox this year.
Yeah.
So I was kind of a little let down by PlayStation this year. Now, not a bad thing. I still thought the conference was very good. There were rumors floating around about, I don't even want to say the name because I don't want to jinx myself for next year, but there were rumors floating around about a new system. There was rumors floating around about, you know, like I said, just to throw out Splinter Cell again. I mentioned this in Ubisoft. There was Splinter Cell, Final Fantasy VII.
Which they said that they were going to make a Crash Bandicoot announcement. They didn't do that either.
No Crash Bandicoot. There was no Final Fantasy VII. They didn't give us any more extended trailers or anything on The Last of Us 2, which I thought, I mean, they teased us last year. You'd think they would give us something for The Last of Us 2 this year again. They gave us nothing for The Last of Us 2 this year. No Red Dead Redemption 2. There were a few games that we know are coming that PlayStation didn't take the opportunity to even showcase.
And not even a Tomb Raider, even.
Tomb Raider, I think we have a little bit more time to sit on.
a little bit more than.
And Tomb Raider kind of went to Xbox exclusively a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot.
But I mean, there was a lot more content they could have showcased. The show felt a lot shorter than the Microsoft one. I don't know.
Because it was supposed to be 2 hours, you said.
I thought it would be 2 hours. I feel like Microsoft really blew it out of the water this year. Sony blew it out of the water last year, and you never know what next year's EA is going to be between these two companies. Maybe next year both of them will. Maybe next year the tides will turn again, and Xbox will be the one where it's lower than PlayStation. Maybe PlayStation's biding its time this year, really looking to develop some great stuff next year and come out with that. A lot of people were rumoring the new system, and I knew it wasn't going to happen because we just got the PlayStation 4 Pro. There was no way they were going to throw out a new system right after they just gave us an upgraded, highest quality they can give us system last year.
Right.
Because that would be a slap in the face to everybody who got a Pro, I thought, personally. Because if you just got a Pro and they're like, oh, 2018, the next one. I don't want to say the name. I don't want to jinx it. I would be upset if I got the Pro. We didn't get the Pro. We got the VR. But I would be a little bit upset if they said, hey, we're giving you a new system already. Next year, possibility.
Right.
More than a possibility. It's almost likely. Unless, again, I feel like the companies now kind of see that there's really not much further they can go at this time. So I feel like they'd be doing more upgrades to the systems, like pushing us to get the Pro or the Xbox One X. I don't really see them making brand new systems for a while, just because how much further can we go? I mean, a lot of people are jumping to PC. I mean, right now we're at a threshold where I don't really feel like they can up the graphics or anything any further. At this point, I really feel like they've got to think about new innovative ways before they can really give us a full-on brand new system.
Right.
So I'm just let down that we didn't get a lot of new exclusive or new trailers, even if it was teasers at this point, something. I feel like 90% of the show was all things we knew about or had an idea about already.
Indeed.
And then there was stuff that was completely left out that we knew was coming or know is coming as well.
Indeed.
So I kind of got to give Microsoft the one up on PlayStation. Microsoft came at us and they threw game after game after game at us. This year, PlayStation threw at us everything we knew and threw and sprinkled on a little bit of new. Yep. Hopefully next year, PlayStation will give us a little bit more. Look, there's a lot of really great games that are going to be cross-platform that PlayStation showed, that Microsoft showed. And there's still the Nintendo conference tomorrow, which Michael will be covering, but I'll be in it as well, and I guess I'll share my 2 cents. Obviously, we already got a little bit of an idea of what's going to be there. We got, Skyrim, Bethesda showed that. We got Mario Rabbids. What do you call it?
The hopeful release date.
What do you call it? Ubisoft showed that.
Yeah, and I'm hoping tomorrow they'll have the release date for Odyssey for that.
Probably it'll be a holiday.
Well, what holiday? November, December.
Oh, that's true. So, Sony, you did good. Don't take it as an insult. You did really good. Next year, I'm hoping for something even better. I mean, you guys blew it out of the water last year. What can I say? They really did blow it out of the water last year.
They did.
But this year, you guys gave us a lot of stuff we already knew. And especially after the huge explosion that Microsoft gave, it kind of gave them the head up. That's okay, though, PlayStation. Don't worry. Next year... I have a feeling next year PlayStation is going to come at us with a lot of new games and a lot of exclusives possibly. I feel like they have a lot in the works and they couldn't announce it this year. Maybe that's why. They have a lot that they're planning, but they wanted to wait. So they gave us a soft EA this year to give us an explosive one in 2018.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts. I could be wrong.
Well, we'll just have to wait till next year and see what goes on.
This is true. But good job so far, and everybody. It's been a surprising, convention overall. Really not too much of a letdown. A couple of letdowns here and there, but like I said, there's still Nintendo. After tomorrow, which will be, as you're watching this, is Tuesday morning, Nintendo will be at 12 p.m. Eastern, which is 9 p.m. Pacific.
9 a.m. Pacific.
9 a.m. Pacific. That's going to be the last conference. We opened up with EA, and we're closing with Nintendo. I believe it's going to be an hour. Might be a little bit longer. Might be a little bit shorter. I don't know what Nintendo's showing. Obviously, they're going to showcase a lot of Switch games. And maybe even more stuff for the Switch. There is rumors about a virtual console for the Switch.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
That would be crazy if we don't own a Switch and they're adding a virtual part to it already. But anyway, so there's still Nintendo. Look forward to that tomorrow. These are going up on Tuesday morning. Possibly Nintendo will go up Wednesday morning, maybe Wednesday night, depending on how fast we can record the video, get it up, and have everything set on the website, because we're posting these side by side with the trailers for all the stuff that we get from EA, all the trailers that we saw from EA, so you guys can have references to everything. So check out comicfrontline.com, because that's where this video, along with all the trailers from all the conferences, whichever one we're talking about, this one Sony, will be in.
Yep.
And as always, as I said, we're Comic Frontline, your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and as you can see here, a whole lot more. We got tons of videos coming out each and every day. We are giving you guys full EA coverage of all the conferences all the conferences. We'll be doing a live show recap for Dark Avenger Live this Friday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to come out and talk about E3, come check us out. Frontline, youtube.com/Comic Frontline. If you're new to the channel, click the sub button. This way, you're subscribed and you'll know when we're going live. Click the notification. Okay. Sorry, the video had a little hiccup, so I'm going to keep going. Click the notification bell if you'd like to see when we go live. And this way you can come in and we can talk games. This Friday will be Dark Avenger Live E3 full coverage. And I'm sure there'll be hit points where me and Brand talk about E3 as well. So you're going to get a lot of E3 thoughts and opinions from all across the board. Till next time, everybody, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and we will see you guys really soon in the next video.
Later, everybody.